Hi, everybody. This is Jimmy. You're reading with Jimmy. This is Shakespeare's Hamlet. We're Act Two, Scene Two, halfway through it. We stopped here last time. We're going to continue right now with Guildenstern. Here's a flourish of trumpets. Guildenstern saying, "Here come the players." Hamlet says, "Gentlemen, you are welcome to Elsinore." Your hands come then, and the appurtenance of welcome in fashion and ceremony. Let me comply with you in this garb, least my extent to the players, which I tell you must show fairly outward, should more appear like entertainment than yours. You are welcome, but my uncle father and aunt mother are deceived. In what? In my dear lord, Guildenstern says, I am but mad northwest. When the wind is southerly, I know a hawk from a handsaw. So he's welcoming the players, and then he says, "You're welcome, but my heart is deceived." He says, "I must show you outwardly more appear like entertainment. Don't let my appearance fool you." And then he says, "You're welcome, but my mother and my uncle are deceived." And Guildenstern, remember, Guildenstern is charged with finding out what's going on. And Hamlet goes, "I am mad, northwest. When the wind is southerly, I know a hawk from a handsaw." So I put a note here. That this footnote is too much. So if you go down here to footnote 282, which is this, it's all this. I'm not going to read this footnote. You can read it. You can pause the video and read it. To know a hawk from a handsaw was an old proverb. It appears that the handsaw was a corruption of Earnshaw, blah, blah, blah. Mr. J.C. Heath is quoted by Mr. Farrar, blah, 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 blah. When the wind is from the north, the heron flies toward. It gives you a whole explanation of this, which maybe it enriches you, maybe it doesn't. But I think this is just Jimmy thinks this is just Hamlet acting a little strange. Here comes Polonius. "Well, be with you, gentlemen." Hamlet, "Hark you, Guildenstern, and you too. At each ear a hearer. That great baby that you see, there is not yet out of his swaddling clouts." Who's he talking about? Rosencrantz. "Happily, it's the second time come to them, for they say an old man is twice the child." There they go with their word fencing. They're fencing with the words again. Hamlet, "I will prophesy he comes to tell me of the players." "Mark it. You say right, sir?" Monday morning. 'Twas so indeed. Polonius, "My lord, I have news to tell you." Hamlet, "My lord, I have news to tell you. When Rocus was an actor in Rome." Polonius, "The actors have come thither, my lord." Hamlet, buzz, buzz. Polonius, upon my honor." Then came each actor on his ass. Polonius, "The best actors in the world, either for tragedy, comedy, history, historical, pastoral, tragical, pastoral, scene indivisible, or poem unlimited. Seneca cannot be too heavy, nor Plautus too light for these people. For the law of writ and the liberty, these are the only men." Rocius was a Roman comic actor of such celebrity that his name became honorary epithet for any particular successful actor. So when they use this word here, when Hamlet says, when Rocus was an actor in Rome, born into, so I think Hamlet already knows these are great, but Polonius exaggerates. If you haven't figured it out yet, even though there are certain instances when Polonius is like his vice to Laertes makes a lot of sense. In this case here, this is Polonius perhaps being Polonius. In any case, Hamlet goes, "O Jephthah, judge of Israel, what a treasure hast thou?" What treasure hath he, my lord? "Why, one fair daughter and no more, the which he loved passing well." Polonius aside, "He's still on my daughter." Am I not the right old man? Polonius, if you call me Jepitha, my lord, I have a daughter that I love passing well. Nay, that follows not. What follows then, my lord? Why, as by lot God wot, and then you know it came to pass it was most like it was. Before we go on, who is Jepitha? Jepitha appears in the book of Judges. He lived in Gilead. His mother is described as a prostitute, and this may indicate that his father might have been any of the men in that area. Jepitha's daughter is the victim of her father's vow to sacrifice a person in return for victory in battle, although the text does not explicitly state that he killed her. So if you, again, these references to Roscius, Jepitha, people know what these are because they've heard these stories. And what that does is it enriches, just like that overgrown footnote I told you about. They may know about birds and hawking and falconing and all that, but these references, these allusions, enrich the words that you're reading or that the characters are saying. So what you see here is Polonius first announcing what Hamlet already knows. He's telling Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, he's going to tell me the players are here, and there they are. But when he says, Jepitha, judge of Israel, what treasure hast thou? Polonius, what treasure had he, my lord? Why, one fair daughter and no more, that which he loved passing well. So the daughter we know was killed to sacrificed by the father to win a battle. And Polonius interprets this as, he's still on my daughter. You see? So then Hamlet says why, and he starts to recite a poem. The first row of pious chasten will show you more, the look where my abridgment comes. So he abridges something, pious chasten. Chasten, 288, right? 289, pardon me. My abridgments, blah, 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 blah. Chasten. Chasten is something to be sung and chanted, because they often mix music with the plays. Enter the players. Here they come, ladies and gentlemen, the players. You are welcome, masters. Welcome all. Now, who's saying this? Let's go back. It's Hamlet. Welcome. I'm glad to see thee well. Welcome, good friends. Oh, my good friend, thy face is Verlaine since I last saw thee last. Comest thou to beard me in Denmark? What, my young lady and my lady, your ladyship is nearer to heaven than when I saw you last. By the attitude of Chopin. Pray God your voice, like a piece of uncurrent gold, be not cracked with the rain. Masters, you are all welcome. So he's greeting these people like he knows them. Perhaps he saw them before. I think he did allude to that. Guildenstern and Rosencrantz and Guildenstern did. Well, we'll make it like a French falconers. We'll fly at anything we see. We'll have a speech straight. Come, give us a taste of your quality. Come, a passionate speech. First player. What speech, my lord? Hamlet. Well, I heard these speak to me speech. I heard thee speak me a speech once, but it was never acted, or if it was, not above once for the play. I remember, please not the million. 'Twas caviar to the general. But it was, as I received it and others whose judgment in such matters cried in the top of mine, an excellent play, well digested in the scenes, set down with much modesty as cunning. I remember one said that there were no sallets. What's a sallet? It's a light helmet with an outward curve extending over the back of the neck, worn as part of medieval armor. I remember one said that there were no sallets in the lines to make the matter savory. So he's comparing a helmet to the lines in the play. Nor no matter in the phrase that might indict the author of affectation. Faking, affectation, great word. Why didn't I highlight that? I love that word. Affectation. But called it an honest method, as wholesome as sweet, and by the very much more handsome than fine. One speech in it I chiefly loved. It was Aeneas to Dido, and thereabout of it especially where he speaks Priam's slaughter. If it live in your memory, begin at this line, and let me see. The rugged Pyrrhus, like Hycerian beast. That's the line. It's so, is it not? It begins with Prius, the rugged Prius, whose sable arms, black as his purpose, did the night resemble, when he lay couched in the ominous horse, hath now this dread and black complexion smeared with heraldry such dismissal head to foot, now in his total glues horridly tricked with blood of fathers, mothers, daughters, sons, baked and empasted with the parching streets that lend the tenuous, the tyrannous, and damned light to their lord's murder, roasted in wrath and fire, and thus oversized with congulate gore, with eyes like carnivals, that hellish Prius, old Grandshire, Priam seeks. So proceed you. Hamlet recites the entire passage of the speech from the play he wants to hear. He recites it. Aeneas to Dido. So this Aeneas stops in Carthage. Aeneas and Dido. Aeneas is a Trojan who escapes the burning of Troy, where he has a passionate love affair with Dido, and once he learns that the gods have assigned him another, more glorious fate, Aeneas dutifully abandons Dido, whereupon she kills herself. Remember what I said. The audience knows this. This speech, this tale that Hamlet's asking the actors to act out, is a prelude to something that's going to happen, but he's doing this for a reason. Who's Priam? Pyrrhus was a Greek king, statesman of the Hellenistic period, and he was the king of Muslians and the royal and blah, blah, blah. He was one of the strongest opponents of early Rome and had been regarded as one of the greatest generals of antiquity. That's Pyrrhus. Priam, right? Priam was killed, Priam slaughtered. Priam was the king of Troy, right? So Polonius says, "For God, my lord, well spoken," and with good accent and good discretion. Polonius admires what Hamlet just said. First player. Anon he finds him striking too short at Greeks, his antique sword, rebellious to his arm, lies where it falls, repugnant to command. Unequal match Pyrrhus at Priam drives, enraged strikes wide. But with the whiff and wind his fell sword, the unnerved father falls. Then senseless Ilium, seeming to feel this blow, with flaming up, stoops to his base, and with hideous crash takes the prisoner Pyrrhus' ear. For lo, his sword, which was declining on the milky head, of Reverend Priam, seemed the heir to stick. So, as a painted tyrant, Pyrrhus stood, and like a neutral to his wife, will and matter did nothing. But as we often see against some storm, a silence in the heavens, that racks stand still, the bold wind speechless, and the orb below, as hushes death, and on the dreadful thunder, doth rend the region, so after Pyrrhus' pause, aroused vengeance, sets him new a work, and never did the Cyclops' hammers fall on Mars' hammer, forged for proof extreme with less remorse than Pyrrhus' bleeding sword, and now falls on Priam. Out, out, thou strumpet fortune! All you gods in general synod, take away her power, break all the spokes and fellies of her wheel, and bowl the round nave down the hill of heaven as low as to the fiends. Polonius, this is too long. I bet you that's what you're saying, ladies and gentlemen. This is too long. This is interesting. A silence in the heavens, the rack stands still, the calm before the storm. So what we have here is a narration by one of the players of Pyrrhus killing Priam, right? Hamlet, it shall be to the harbors with your beard. To the barbers, we cut your beard off. It's too long. Prithee, say on. He's for a jig, a tale of bawdy, or he sleeps and say, come to Hecuba. Hecuba was a queen in Greek mythology and the wife of King Priam, right? Of Troy, which is during the Trojan War, during the Trojan War, Hecuba. And Priam was killed during the sack of Troy by Achilles, son of Nepenthes, also known as Pyrrhus. So this is where this story comes from, which is the Iliad, Homer's Iliad. Remember, they had no paper. You're right, they had paper, but nobody could read. This was all word of mouth. This is what they call the oral tradition. Iliad and the Odyssey were oral tradition. They were recited. The poet who recited them, Homer, had to have a great memory till someone, after they kept reciting them century over century, decided to write it down. And that's why you can read the Iliad and the Odyssey, and maybe we will. But in any case, the audience knows these stories because they repeated them as well. Okay. First player. Where am I? Oh, yeah. So he's telling Polonius, says it's too long, cut your beard. First player. But who had seen the mobbled queen being wrapped up in a muffin or in a hood? That's good. Mobbled queen is good, Polonius said. I like that. I like the way he said that. First player. Run barefoot up and down, threatening the flames, with bison room a clout upon the head where the late diadem stood, crown, and for a robe about her lank and all her teamed lions, a blanket in the alarm, fear caught. Who this had seen, with tongue in venom steeped, gain fortune's state, whose treason have pronounced. But if the gods themselves did see her then, when she saw Pyrrhus make malicious sport, in mincing with his sword her husband's limbs, the instant burst of clamor that she made, using things mortal move them not at all, would have made milch the burning eyes of heaven and passion in the gods. So Hecuba is watching Pyrrhus kill Priam. Polonius, look whether he has not turned his color and his tears in his eyes. Pray no more. Hamlet, 'tis well I have thee to speak out the rest soon. God, my lord, will you see the players well bestowed? Do you hear? Let them be well used, for they are the abstract and brief chronicles of the time. After your death, you were better have had epitaph than their ill report while you live. So Polonius is seeing Hamlet affected by this speech. And why is he affected by this speech? Because Priam, the king, is being killed by Pyrrhus. His father was killed by Claudius. And his mother, Gertrude, it represents. You see the parallel here? You see it? Do you see it? If not, go back and reread it. My lord, I will use them according to their desert. God's bobbikins, man, much better. Use every man after his desert. And who should escape whipping? Use them after your own honor and dignity. The less they deserve, the more merit it is in your bounty. Take them in. Come, sirs, says Polonius. Follow him, friends. We'll hear a play tomorrow. Do you know, hear me, friend. Can you play The Murder of Gonzago? First player, aye, my lord, we know that play. Well, had it tomorrow night, says Hamlet. You could for need study a speech of some maybe 16 lines, which I would set down and insert in the play. Could you not? Oh, aye, my lord, says the first player. Very well. Follow that lord, and look, you mock him not. Don't mock him. My good friends, I'll leave you till night, and you're welcome to Elsinore. Good, my lord, good, my lord. Exit Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. Now I am alone. Oh, what a rogue and peasant slave am I. He says, now I am alone. Why? He wants to tell everybody in the audience that he is, in fact, alone. Is he speaking to the audience? It doesn't say aside. What's he doing? He's just speaking. Of course, he's speaking to us. Oh, what a rogue and peasant slave am I. Is it not monstrous that this player here, but in fiction, is a dream of passion? Could force his soul so as to his own conceit, that from her working all his visage waned, tears in his eyes, distraction in aspect. He's telling us that he was faking tears in his eyes. Or was he faking? A broken voice and his whole function suiting with foams to his conceit, and all for nothing, for Hecuba. What's Hecuba to him, or he to Hecuba? What would he should weep for her? What would he do had he the motive and the cue for passion that I have? He would drown that stage with tears, and he would cleave that general ear with horrid speech, and he would make mad the guilty and appall the free, confound the ignorant, and amaze indeed the very faculties of eyes and ears. Yet I, a dull and muddy metal rascal, peak like John a Dreams, unpregnant by my cause, and can say nothing. No, not for a king, upon whose property and most dear life a damned defeat was made. Am I a coward? Who calls me villain? Who breaks my paint across, plucks off my beard and blows it in my face, tweaks me by the nose and gives me a loo for the throat, as deep as to the tongue? Who does me this, huh? Swoons, I shall take it, for it cannot be but that I am a pigeon-livered, and I lack gall to make this oppression bitter. Or this I should have fatted all the region kites with this slave's awful bloody body villain, remorseless, treacherous, lecherous, kindleless villain. Oh, vengeance! Why, what an ass am I! This is most brave, that I, the son of a dear father murdered, prompted by my revenge by heaven and hell, must, like a whore, unpack my heart with words, and fall cursing like a very drab, a scullion. Fie upon it, fie, oh, about my brain. I've heard that guilty creatures sitting on a play have by their very cunning of the scene been struck so to the soul that presently they have proclaimed their malfunctions. For murder, though it has no tongue, will speak with a most miraculous organ. I'll have these players play something like the murder of my father before mine uncle, and I'll observe his looks. I'll tent him to the quick, and if he belch, I'll know my course. The spirit that I have seen may be the devil, and the devil hath no power to assume pleasing shapes, and yea, perhaps out of my own weakness and my melancholy, as he is very potent with such spirits, abuses me to damn me. I'll have grounds more relative than this. The play's the thing wherein I'll catch the conscience of the king. There's a lot to unpack in this last speech by Hamlet. He's reflecting on the Hecuba story, with Priam and Pyrrhus. He's reflecting that, that was very moving to him because he just lost his mother. Johnny a Dream is a man who's a daydreamer. So he's saying, am I a dull and muddy rascal, peak like John? Am I just full of doo-doo, right? Am I just a coward? Am I a coward that I can't do anything? I'm pigeon-livered. What an ass am I? He's chastising himself for not doing what he knows he needs to do, which is what? The revenge of his father, right? Must like a whore unpack my heart with words. That's what he was doing with the word fencing. He's pretending to be. He's not. This speech demonstrates Hamlet is not crazy. He knows perfectly well what he's doing. What he's going to do, he already did this before. If we go back here and he's asking the first player, can you study a few lines if I give you some lines and put in this play, The Murder of Gonzago? This is a technique called a story in a story. So these players are going to play something in the story, this play called The Murder of Gonzago. And Hamlet is going to change the script. He's going to rewrite it, and he's going to put a mirror up to his father, and he's going to watch his father. And if he but belch, if he shows any sign that he recognizes, he's going to play out the play of what the ghost told him. I'm going to know my course. He's going to know what he's got to do. The spirit that I have seen may be the devil. You see, many people say that this is a story of a guy who can't make up his mind. Well, we're only in Act 2, and it's not that he can't make up his mind yet. He doesn't know if the ghost is the ghost of his father or if it's the devil. He has to somehow prove it to himself that what that ghost told him is true. That's not the act of a madman, ladies and gentlemen. A madman would just take a sword and kill the king, right? Kill the uncle. So he's very careful. He's very detailed. He's very thoughtful. Think things through. Remember what Polonius told his kid? Right? Think things through. It's one of the laws of the universe. So he's going to fashion a play, and he's going to watch his uncle carefully. And that's the purpose of the actors showing up now. Remember, these things don't just happen, right? They do happen. This is the third person narrator, but there's some omniscient guy up there controlling this. It's not God, right? The omniscient narrator is the third person narrator. But if you've doubted what Hamlet is, if he's nuts or not, reread this. Just reread this section. Okay. I'll leave this note up for a minute. You can pause it if you want to read the notes. You've been reading with Jimmy. This was the second part of Act 2 of Act 2, Scene 2. Thank you for visiting. Please watch the entire series of readings from Hamlet. You can email me, Jimmy at readingwithjimmy.com, Jimmy at readingwithjimmy.com. I'd be anxious to hear your thoughts so far, because we're done with the second act, which is a very important act. Now we're going to go on to Act 3. Thank you very much.